He was the unlikeliest of champions, coming from a country that had yet to produce any fighter of note. He had no connections and had no money. He fought for pennies on the fishing piers of Colombia and made it all the way to the world's largest arenas to become a national hero. Songs would be produced about him, all praising the name. Antonio Cervantes was born on December 23, 1945 in San Basilio de Palenque, an all-black town with a population of about 3,500. The founders of the town were escaped slaves who still preserved customs and language from their African ancestors. Cervantes grew up in a poor neighborhood called Chambacu, which had the nickname of El Corral de Negros, the Black Yard. Everyone in his household worked a different hustle. Cervantes himself shined shoes and sold cigarettes. His life would change when an uncle introduced him to the sport of boxing, nicknaming him Kid Pambele, after his favorite fighter, Miguel Ángel Rivas. But Cervantes would pattern himself after his idol, Bernardo Caraballo. He would go to the piers nearby and fight on the shipping decks for money, emulating Caraballo's fighting style. He would then meet trainer Carmelo Prada, who would turn Cervantes professional after only 3 amateur bouts. Sometimes he would face the same opponent 2 or 3 times, but he would go undefeated in his first 13 fights before going on a 4-bout losing streak. In 1968, he would move to Venezuela. There were more fights to be had for Cervantes, but he still had the look of an also-ran, as he would lose 4 fights during his campaign in Caracas. But a career turnaround would take place in 1970, as Cervantes would come to California and win 3 fights, one of which would be an upset win over former lightweight champion Rodolfo Gonzalez. A year later, Cervantes would get a shot at WBA junior welterweight champion Nicolino Loche. Loche, with a record of 103 wins against 2 defeats, would outpoint Cervantes over 15 rounds. Returning to his native Colombia, Cervantes would remain busy against journeyman opposition before getting another title shot, this time against Alfonso Peppermint Frazier, who dethroned the longtime champion Loche. Coming in as a decided underdog, Cervantes would stop Frazier in 10 rounds, becoming Colombia's first world titleist. "I became a national hero," Cervantes said. "In Colombia, we were used to almost getting to the top. Thankfully, I was able to change that and show we can be champions." A parade was held upon his return, and overnight he became one of the most popular figures in his country. Companies wanted him to be their spokesman, most notably Sanyo, whose brand name he would wear on his trunks. He was able to meet entertainment celebrities and politicians, influencing the latter to finally bring electricity to Palenque. Winning the championship seemed to make Cervantes a better fighter. He would rematch and defeat both Loche and Frazier. More title defenses would follow, as Cervantes would emerge as a dominant champion. After 4 years and 10 title defenses, Cervantes would take on the 17-year-old undefeated phenom Wilfred Benitez and lose his title over 15 rounds. Regrouping, Cervantes would remain undefeated over the next year before Benitez would rise in weight and vacate the title. Cervantes would once again win the WBA Junior Welterweight Championship, taking out Carlos Maria Jimenez in 5 rounds. Cervantes would once again defend his title on the road, traveling to Venezuela, South Africa, and South Korea. After defeating Miguel Montilla, Cervantes would be in talks to face Roberto Duran in a Latin American super fight, but the bout would never materialize. Instead, he would travel to Cincinnati, Ohio to face Aaron the Hawk Pryor. Now under the scrutiny of the American media, critics questioned Cervantes' age, believing him to be older than his stated 34 years.
Showing that he is hard to hit. He's taken a couple of licks, however. Pryor took a right hand counter-punching from the champion.
And the referee called it a knockdown.
Yes,
His glove hit the canvas.
And I thought it was, too. Well, he didn't catch him clean, but it was enough to send him down.
Well, the rule says any part of your body but your feet hits the canvas, it's a knockdown, and his glove did go down.
He took the mandatory 8 count, but came out showing that he wasn't hurt at all.
Both of these guys are bombers, Tim. I'm waiting for something big to happen at any time.
You might see it there as the champion appeared to be staggered by the combination, but has recovered well. But he was moved by the combination from Aaron Pryor.
Break. Let him out clean, huh?
Cervantes won the title originally in 1972 from Alfonso Peppermint Frazier. Defended it 10 times before losing to Benitez in '76. Then he won the vacant crown in 1977 from Carlos Jimenez and has defended it 6 times successfully since. Pryor digging to the body with an effective flurry. Cervantes standing there right with him. Digging a left hook to the body.
There's that whirlwind Pryor attack. You don't know where they're coming from, and he just ran into a good right hand.
Okay, straight right hand. There is some blood above the right eye of Cervantes.
Cervantes has a bad cut over his right eye. Okay, let him out. And it's running down, Tim. It could bother him, could affect his vision. It's a bad cut.
Good right hand from Cervantes. He knows he's in trouble with that cut. Pryor will not let up.
Well, we said Pryor was a good finisher, Tim. They come from all over.
Round number 3. The champion back to the ropes, and the blood flowing into his right eye. Pryor keeping relentless pressure on, but takes another right hand. Cervantes has not been able to hurt him since that. Well, he didn't even hurt him on the knockdown punch.
Tim, nobody could keep up this pace for 15 rounds. This fight definitely is going to end in a knockout. I'm going right out on a limb. That's the
Under
way
a
it
minute
is.
to go in round 3, Gil. A lot of blood from the eye of Cervantes. The cut appears to be above the right eye, and it's running into the eye.
It's a bad cut.
Cervantes finally tying Pryor up. First time he's done that here, despite being in so much trouble. Under 30 seconds to go, round 3. Pryor to the body and up top. Jabbing away at that cut. Final seconds of the 3rd round. counter-punching Cervantes has landed some, but has not been able to stop Pryor or slow him down at all, despite the knockdown in the first round. Good counter-punching right hand landed from Cervantes, but Pryor just right back with pressure.
Just seems to brush them off, Tim, and he's changing his direction as he moves in, and that's confusing Cervantes.
He's also jabbing pretty well for a guy that's considered a slugger. He's getting to that cut, and he landed a good combination.
I told you, Pryor's a good finisher, Tim.
He's got him down.
Good finisher.
A good punch. Tremendous right hand. Looked like an uppercut that sent the champion to the canvas, and he's trying to shake the cobwebs. He might not make it up. He does not. It's all over. There is a new junior welterweight champion, the hometown hero, Aaron Pryor.
Neither Cervantes or his team would blame the loss on his age. Cervantes would admit he underestimated Pryor and that he was tired by the second round. This was his last fight, Cervantes' manager Ramiro Machado said. He had to lose sometime. He is a great champion. It is a good time to end it. 18 years is too much for anyone. But Cervantes would not remain retired. He would return to the ring a year later and fight sporadically until December of 1983, when he would come to Miami to face Danny Sanchez. Cervantes would lose a one-sided decision and finally retire after 20 years as a professional. Returning home, he would help finance infrastructure in his native Colombia, but also battle a substance abuse problem. They don't write of the good outside the ring that much because the bad sells more papers, Cervantes said. Cervantes would lose most of his earnings because of his addictions, ultimately getting imprisoned for assault. He would be in and out of rehab until finally being sent to a psychiatric hospital in Cuba. Returning to Colombia, he would spend his days as a boxing trainer in Cartagena. He would live on a farm in Bolivar with his wife. Cervantes would have 11 children and numerous grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In 1998, he would be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. In 2011, he would be diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He lives on, having difficulties communicating and eating.